Broadcasting live from the University of North Texas, this is NTTV Nightly News.
Long lines in airports after TSA workers either quit or don't show up.
More troops are heading to Iran as the conflict in the Middle East intensifies.
UNT's SGA elections are around the corner after some intense debates last night. I'll have more for you later.
Good evening and thank you for joining us on NTTV Nightly News. I'm Landry Brady.
And I'm Melanie Garcia. Another busy travel weekend is on tap at airports across the nation, and yet there's still no deal on the funding the Department of Homeland Security. Congress is about to start 2-week spring break, and yet TSA workers are still without a paycheck and airports are in survival mode. CNN's Karen Kafa has the latest.
After some midweek relief, Thursday brought another frustrating day at some of the nation's biggest airports. And passengers are bracing for another tough weekend.
It's frustrating, sure, but it doesn't do any good to be angry at anybody or be hateful to anybody because these people are working without pay.
Nearly 6 weeks since Department of Homeland Security funding lapsed, TSA workers are approaching another missed paycheck on Friday.
Just now we're at 4 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. and still not getting paid for it. Fun stuff.
Lawmakers still at odds are on the cusp of a 2-week recess scheduled to begin Friday. On Thursday, President Donald Trump again laid shutdown blame on Democrats.
They're punishing the American people, including travelers at airports.
Senate Democrats on Wednesday rejected a GOP proposal to withhold money for federal immigration enforcement, but without any policy changes.
I think cooler heads need to prevail.
Meanwhile, TSA said more than 3,000 officers nationwide didn't show up for work on Wednesday. Wait times at Houston's Bush Intercontinental Airport climbed around 4 hours early Thursday. At New York's LaGuardia, the wait time in one general security line was nearly 2 hours. And at Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson, ICE agents walked along snaking security lines and checked passenger IDs. TSA agents are among 61,000 DHS employees working without pay, including employees of the Coast Guard, Secret Service, and Federal Emergency Management Agency. In Washington, I'm Karen Kafa.
Almost 500 TSA workers have quit since the shutdown began, and thousands are calling in sick every day.
With more on how the shutdown is affecting our 2 major airports, Annie Tomlin joins us live in the studio. Annie.
Thank you, guys. Yes, many airports are facing staffing shortages. They're TSA workers without pay following a prolonged DHS shutdown. Wait times exceeded 4 hours this morning at Houston's George Bush International Airport, with lines wrapping around the exterior of the airport. Now, the DFW area is kind of another story. TSA lines are much shorter at both the DFW International Airport as well as Dallas Love Field. As we can see here, security lines at DFW aren't quite exceeding 20 minutes just yet. Now, if we want to take a look at how Dallas Love Field is doing, the wait times are going to be a little bit shorter there as well. It looks like our general boarding lane is going to be about 9 minutes, and then the TSA pre-check lane is going to be about 2 minutes. Now, it's going to kind of change as different times go out throughout the day, but TSA is now facing another issue with the World Cup coming in June. On average, it takes agents 4 to 6 weeks to be trained to operate these checkpoints. This means if TSA brings on any new employees, they may not be ready in time for the World Cup. NTTV will continue to monitor updates on TSA and air travel. Melanie, Landry, back to you.
Thanks, Annie. Luckily, I am not taking a flight anytime soon.
I know, right? And there's really no need to because the weather here in Denton feels amazing.
Yeah, that is true. Our weather anchor, Grace Esquivel, is in studio to tell us what to expect the next couple of days. Grace?
Thanks, guys. I'm personally loving the warm weather, but if you're not a fan of it this time of year, it is going to cool down a little bit next week. But as for now, it's currently 86 degrees out and it feels so nice. Our wind is at 19 miles an hour. As we move into tonight, it's going to cool down just a little bit, getting to 70 with our wind at 13, so keeping a little bit of a breeze. But as we move into the morning around 6 a.m., it's going to cool down even more with temperatures dropping to 66 and our winds staying pretty high at 19 miles an hour. Those temperatures will remain around the same in the weekend, but we'll get into that later. As for now, that's all for First Look. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Grace. The war in Iran continues with U.S. troops being expected to deploy in the next coming days. President Trump has claimed peace is going well, but Iranian officials have said otherwise. Lee Waldwin has the update.
Airstrikes continue in the Middle East. A residential area in Tehran was hit, according to the Iranian Red Crescent. In central Israel, at least 9 people were hurt after an Iranian missile launch, emergency officials said. In the coming days, approximately 1,000 soldiers with the Army's 82nd Airborne Division are expected to deploy to the Middle East, according to 2 sources familiar with the matter. One of the sources said the brigade will be prepared to be called upon if needed.
They're serious about conducting some kind of a ground operation in Iran. Why else would you be sending the immediate ready brigade from the 82nd Airborne?
I would not support troops going into Iran, period. No ifs, ands, or buts, but I also want to be clear that this administration, at least in talks with us, has not voiced that they want that either.
This comes as President Donald Trump says the U.S. is winning this war and is close to ending it.
I can tell you they'd like to make a deal. And who wouldn't if you were there?
The U.S. has shared a 15-point list of expectations with Iran via Pakistan, 2 regional sources told CNN, who added that among the points included are limits on Tehran's defense capability, a cessation of support for proxies, and an acknowledgement of Israel's right to exist. However, Iran's semi-official news agency Fars is reporting Iran will not accept a ceasefire and believes it would not be logical for it to enter talks with the United States, citing a source with knowledge of the diplomatic activity. I'm Lee Waldman reporting.
Though the U.S. claims peace talks are underway, financial investors are showing their doubts. The stock market continues to take large hits and will likely continue, especially as the U.S. begins to move troops. Oil prices are still firmly over $100 a barrel, and gas prices are averaging nearly $4 per gallon.
Oil prices aren't the only thing on the rise. The U.S. Army is raising their enlistment age to help recruitment. Beginning April 20th, the maximum age for the new Army recruiters will rise from 35 to 42 years old. This change will align with the age limit closer to the other service branches, including the Air Force, Navy, and Coast Guard. The Marines have the most restriction on a cutoff age of 28. The Army did briefly raise this age to 42 20 years ago during a recruitment slump, but that change was temporary.
Coming up, a UNT professor's art gets showcased in a renowned art exhibit in Dallas.
And if you have a UNT parking ticket, you may be able to get a discount with just a donation. We have more coming up.
Good evening, my name is Amanda Hasbell and I'm joining you here today in the Union Parking Garage. Today we're going to be going over how to drive safely in the parking garage. Let's go see. Oh my god, this girl just got hit by a car. Let's go see what happened. Ma'am, are you okay? Are you okay?
Did you see that lady hit me with a car?
Yeah, we did. I got it all on video.
Oh my god.
Let's go over here and talk about how we can prevent that.
Yeah, not the hospital.
Well, right now we're going to ask you a couple questions on how we can drive safely in the parking lot. What are ways that we can be aware of our surroundings?
Oh, we can look both ways.
Jenna, also, how about putting the distractions away?
Yes, just like our phones, turning our music down, and also not focusing on our passengers.
Where can you get information on how to get a parking pass?
Transportation.unt.edu.
If you park in a garage, make sure you pay on the app or look for further instructions on how you should pay.
And remember, no pass, no park. Let's all try to keep our mean green community safe.
Remember, we're all in this together.
Drive safe.
Voting opens for UNT's student government positions on Monday.
Last night, candidates for SGA president and vice president had the chance to share their platforms ahead of the election next week.
NGTV's Camden Rensink has more on the candidates' platforms and election details. Camden?
Thank you, Landry. UNT student government positions are up for grabs with 33 candidates on the ballot, and students will have the opportunity to elect their future representatives. Last night, SGA presidential candidates Daria Smith and Durrani Avila debated their policies. Smith represents the UNITE platform, which stands for Unite, Nurture, Inspire, Transform, and Empower. She hopes to promote student unity, leadership, and transparency. On the other hand, Avila is leading the LIFT platform, which stands for Leadership, Innovation, Fellowship, and Transparency. He's advocating for networking with university officials and students across all UNT campuses to improve student experiences. Vice President candidate Esther Alomuyiwa is running with Smith and debated Durrani's running mate Devin Ferris. Along with the vice presidential and presidential election, 29 candidates across different majors are running for Student Senate. Voting opens Monday, March 30th and will run through April 2nd. Students will be able to vote on the OrgSync website. For NTTV Nightly News, I'm Camden Rensink. Back to the desk.
Thanks, Camden. A world-renowned floral art exhibit is making its way into the DFW area. Flores DeVille's Muse, a fresh floral mannequin exhibition, is on display at North Park Center in Dallas. The large-scale exhibition features work from some of the most talented artists in the region, including Chonwan Chin, an associate professor of fashion design at UNT's College of Visual Arts and Design. Chin's transformative bloom, as well as all other exhibitions of the Muse, are on display until March 29th, with a Meet the Artist event this upcoming Saturday, the 28th.
Flowers blooming are usually a good thing until you feel all this pollen in there, especially for a 911 caller in Iowa who thought this pollen cloud was something else. Jeremy Roth has the story.
A 911 call about a possible grass fire turned out to be a false alarm when firefighters discovered the reported smoke was in fact just prodigious plumes of pollen. A homeowner reported smoke in some trees in Green Valley State Park, raising the alarm with the Creston Fire Department, which responded alongside the Iowa Department of Natural Resources. Officials quickly confirmed no controlled burns were taking place in the park, and after observing cedar trees sporadically releasing clouds of pollen that looked a lot like smoke, they put two and two together, deeming the scene to be of no threat. That is, unless locals in the area hadn't taken their allergy meds.
Well, Andrea, I don't know about you, but any amount of pollen definitely gets my allergies going.
Yeah, I know, me too, Mel. Pollen and springtime are not a good mix for me.
Allergies are the worst, but thankfully spring break is a great time and the weather is just amazing. Thankfully, our weather anchor, Grace Escobar, is in the studio to tell us how this spring break weather is showing up for us. Grace?
Thanks, guys. I'm also a fan of these warm temperatures, but it's not everyone's cup of tea in March. As we look across North Texas, we can see very similar temperatures that we're seeing here in Denton at our 86. Up in Bowie, it's 87, Graham 88, and Fort Worth is also 87. But when we look across all of Texas, we're gonna see quite a bit of wider ranges. Up in Oklahoma City, it's very similar, 89, but Amarillo is 98, and that's a little too warm for me at this time of year. Out in El Paso, we're in the 90s too at 93. Abilene 90, but then down in Houston and Austin, it's a little cooler with those mid to high 80s. But it is gonna cool down a little bit more if you're not loving this temperature. As we look at our 7-day forecast, we can see that tomorrow is gonna be cloudy and cool at 67 degrees with a low of 50. Saturday, it's gonna drop even more at 60 degrees. We're gonna get a little bit more sun and our low is gonna stay the same. Sunday is when it's gonna start to heat back up, and that's gonna continue on to Monday at 84 degrees with a low of 63. On Tuesday, we're gonna see even more clouds at 85 degrees with our low of 66, and then Wednesday and Thursday, we're gonna be seeing temperatures at the high 70s and low 80s with our lows around the high 50s. Now, while it is cloudy here this week, up in space, it has been clear enough to get the best photo of Saturn ever. NASA says the new images of Saturn showed the planet with a level of detail that has never been seen before. The photos come from the James Webb Space Telescope and the Hubble Space Telescope. What a cool sight. That's all for weather. Back to you guys at the desk.
You know, graduation is right around the corner for a lot of UNT students.
Yes, it is, Landry. And now for these students, there's one more expense.
Yeah, that's right. UNT students now have to pay for their paper commencements program. With more on this story, we have our live shot reporter, Nick Stocklosa, on campus. Nick.
Thanks, Landry. I'm here at the UNT Coliseum, where in just a few months, students will be graduating. But in an effort to reduce waste, UNT is no longer giving out free commencement programs. Instead of picking up the free commencement programs at the ceremony, students can now order their paper copies for $10. Starting yesterday, programs can be pre-ordered until May 22nd and can be picked up at the University Services Building on May 4th. There will also be free digital programs for download available, which will also be on May 4th. But in order for students to graduate, they need to pay off their campus parking tickets. But I hear our live reporter Layla Twine knows a way that students can take care of those. Layla?
Talk. Right. Talk? Okay. That's right, Nick. Parking tickets can add up quickly, but now students have a different way to take care of them. Instead of paying with money, UNT is allowing students to pay with food. As of March 30th through May 8th, students and staff can bring non-perishable food items to Highland Street Garage, with 20 items equal to $45 and 30 items equal to $65 towards university parking citations. The program is designed to help ease financial stress for students and staff while also giving back to the food pantry. Students can donate items like canned goods, pasta, peanut butter, cereal, and many more. But don't get too carried away. There is a limit of 3 citations per item per person. That's all for me. Back to the desk.
Netflix is again raising their prices for all of their plans.
And Walmart launches a new delivery option that takes flight today. Stick with us for more.
Hasbell, and I'm joining you here today in the Union parking garage. Today we're going to be going over how to drive safely in the parking garage. Let's go see. Oh my god! Oh my god! This girl just got hit by a car. Let's go see what happened. Ma'am, are you okay? Are you okay?
Did you see that lady hit me with a car?
Yeah, we did. I got it all on video.
Oh my god.
Let's go over here and talk about how we can prevent that.
Yeah, not the hospital.
Well, right now we're going to ask you a couple questions on how we can drive safely in the parking lot. What are ways that we can be aware of our surroundings?
Oh, we can look both ways.
Jenna, also, how about putting the distractions away?
Yes, just like our phones, turning our music down, and also not focusing on our passengers.
Where can you get information on how to get a parking pass?
Transportation.unt.edu.
If you park in a garage, make sure you pay on the app or look for further instructions on how you should pay.
And remember, no pass, no park. Let's all try to keep our mean green community safe.
Remember, we're all in this together.
Drive safe.
It's a jibber jabber. Yes, jibber jabber.
Jibber Jabber is a man on the street indie TV show for Instagram that's in its 7th season. With 2 hosts, 1 comfy chair, and a Would You Do Something bowl.
Pretty much the gist of our show is that we're going to be inviting UNT students, all of our lovely family over, and we're going to be talking to them. And when we run out of things to say, we're going to ask them,
would you do something?
I think we're ready to do something.
Yeah.
Fortnite son or Minecraft daughter?
Juries held social media giants accountable in back-to-back landmark court rulings this week. They have been tried for negligent and deceptive practices that have harmed users, including teens. A big question is what comes next. CNN's Brian Abel has the story.
A wake-up call for social media.
I had to cut down my time on social media because it was getting to my head and it's not healthy.
Juries in California and New Mexico this week finding that Meta, the parent company of Instagram and Facebook, and Google's YouTube bore responsibility for harm to young users.
People within these companies knew that these were, they performed internal studies, and they knew that these were the results to children due to usage of their platform.
Both companies say they plan to appeal, but these first-of-their-kind decisions mark a critical moment of accountability after years of concern by parents, advocates, lawmakers, and whistleblowers. The verdicts also provide a reference for how to use evidence against social media companies in future litigation.
There's more than 1,000 cases that now are going to be able to wield that as a sword
that is absolutely going to carve up and change, I think, social media for all time.
With mounting legal and political pressure, industry experts say big tech will need to make big changes in order to keep business running.
All these big tech companies have to implement changes, and not just because they're being fined, but because the regulations being brought about are much worse than anything else that can happen to them.
And experts say these verdicts may push people to rethink how they use social media now that it's been ruled harmful to children and teens.
I'm so scared of how addicted I am to short form content.
In Washington, Brian Abel reporting.
The new era of streaming isn't cheap. Netflix has announced it will be raising the subscriptions cost again. The most affordable plan went up by $1 and is now $8.99, but includes ads. The standard plan rose $2 and is $19.99, and the premium plan also went up $2 and is $26.99. Netflix officials say these changes are supposed to allow the company to improve the quality of their product.
Sometimes I just want a faster way to get exactly what I want, whether it comes to DoorDash or Uber Eats or even buying a new shirt or a gift for someone.
I know just what you mean, Landry. There might be a way you can take that to the next level. Our segment anchor Riley Oldenburg has more.
Able to use the Zipline mobile app to place an order for a drone delivery. NTTV segment anchor Isabel Smith has more.
Starting Thursday, Zipline Delivery Services is launching a service that takes quick deliveries to new heights.
Zipline is the world's largest commercial autonomous delivery network. So think about it as drone delivery. We're the most experienced. We've completed over 2 million commercial deliveries and flown over 125 million autonomous miles. That's the equivalent of driving every single road in the United States like 28 times.
And as for how the drone delivery works, well, that's something Zipline's customer support leader and spokesperson, Connor Wilkinson, can share.
Is that we've designed the system with two parts. So there's the main aircraft that stays way up high, hundreds of feet in the air while it's flying and then making the delivery. And then we have the delivery zip. This is where the actual package is inside. It'll set down, the doors on the bottom open, leaves the package, and then off it goes. All this happens in seconds, in a service that folks really are just loving. They're finding it so magical.
In the Denton area, customers can order products from their local Walmarts, but Wilkinson says that more stores and restaurants can soon be in the works.
Yeah, that's a great question. We have, dozens of partnerships. For example, in the Dallas-Fort Worth area alone, we work with folks like Crumble Cookies, Chipotle, and many other dining restaurants as well. Right now here in Denton, we're focusing on the Walmart launch, but certainly excited to be launching more in the future.
Denton residents can place orders through the Zipline app starting Thursday. For North Texas Television, I'm Isabel Smith.
This will be Zipline's 20th location just in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. The app shows that delivery is available for specific public delivery spots, including West Hall, Daku Stadium, and City Park at Fry Street. That's all I have. Back to you at the desk.
Up Highway 35, a few minutes north of Sulphur Springs, Texas, is a small town that you might not even know is there. Not because of its size, though there are only 15 residents, but because there are no signs defining it. Big Bug Tussle, Texas has lost over 70 road signs with its name on it. Residents believe that it's because the name is unique, but that problem has plagued the town over so long that local officials have refused to put any new signs. The town's name is debated with many stories behind how it came to be, but the loyal Bug Tussle residents find it charming enough to call it home.
Maybe not the case for small towns like Bug Tussle, but the suburbs in Texas are still seeing rapid growth. This according to the U.S. Census. Despite the overall population growth slowing down slightly, census data shows that between July 2024 and July 2025, the Texas population grew by 1.2%. Much of that was in towns surrounding big cities like Dallas, Houston, and Austin. Lloyd Potter, the state demographer, says that 45% decrease in residents from abroad is what's diminishing overgrowth.
I am excited for baseball season, but mostly just because of the food.
I agree, but I know a lot of people like our sports anchor Elias Freeman are excited to actually watch the games. Elias is in the studio to tell us about all things sports. Elias?
Thanks, guys. You would not believe how excited I've been for opening day. I've got baseball news and more after the break.
Welcome back to Late Night at North Texas. Late Night at North Texas. Late Night at North Texas.
Color the world with peace and joy.
Tell me, Diva, what's the tea?
My Nisha drag is dumb.
The spirits have guided you to me.
Hola, Rieros! We're NTTV's longest running Spanish entertainment show, and we're all about culture, creativity, and community in Spanish. Vámonos.
The International Olympic Committee has announced a new policy prohibiting transgender women from competing in the women's sports competitions in the future Olympic tournaments. The new rule will be enforced by a gene test that will occur once in an athlete's career. The IOC has stated that they are basing this decision off of science that shows male chromosomes give performance advantages in sports that rely on strength, power, or endurance. In the 7-candidate IOC election last year, female eligibility was one of the most prominent talking points. The IOC has acknowledged the sensitivity of this policy in a video statement from the current president, Kirsty Coventry.
Today, we, the International Olympic Committee, have published a policy on the protection of the female category. I understand that this is a very sensitive topic. As a former athlete, I passionately believe in the rights of all Olympians to take part in fair competition.
This policy comes after President Trump signed an executive order last year saying he would deny visas to transgender athletes wanting to compete in the 2028 LA Olympics, as well as saying that the order would rescind funds from organizations that allow transgender athletes to compete. The first day of Major League Baseball season was yesterday, with the first game being a special matchup between the New York Yankees and the San Francisco Giants. The first full slate of games, however, is today with 11 matchups set to go, having begun at 12:15 p.m. Central Time. The Texas Rangers are currently facing off against the Philadelphia Phillies starting at 3:15, and the leadoff hitter for the Rangers is none other than Brandon Nimmo. The Rangers are utilizing lots of young talent this season and are expected to be good despite losing Garcia to the Phillies during the offseason. And 16 teams are left as we head into the final stretch of March Madness. All the remaining teams in contention for the men's title are Texas, Purdue, Arizona, Arkansas, Nebraska, Iowa, Houston, Illinois, Duke, St. John's, UConn, Michigan State, Michigan, Alabama, Iowa State, and Tennessee. The Sweet 16 matchups kick off tonight at 6 p.m. as Texas faces off against Purdue. The odds are stacked against Texas as they are the 11th seed, matching up against the 2nd seed. Texas is the lowest ranked team still in the tournament, and the money line is currently favoring Purdue. We'll continue to follow March Madness to its end on April 6th at 7:30 p.m. Back to y'all at the desk.
Thanks, Elias. You know what, Landry? I think I'm craving a cold sweet treat right about now.
Well, you know what? Bluebell is actually coming out with a new flavor. It's a creamy combination of cookies and brownies called Brookie a la mode. It's a limited time flavor that's available now in a pint and half-gallon sizes.
Sounds delicious, Landry. You know I love me a good combo.
I know, I'm gonna have to go look for it after the show.
Let me know if you find it, okay?
Yeah. Thank you for watching NTTV Nightly News.
Join us again next week here on North Texas Television.